Layouts are so critical in Anno 1800. They can help you make your cities more beautiful, but they can also help you develop faster. And lastly, they can make your production chains more efficient. Strat Gamer covering strategy, city building games, simulations with game reviews, tutorials, let's plays, and guides. And today this is an Anno 1800 guide around layout. We're going to review two things. One is I'm going to give you a number of tips and tricks around all of your layouts. And second, I'm going to share with all of you all of the layouts I've developed for the farmer tiers. And in following videos, I'm going to review all of the other tiers. So subscribe to the channel to not miss that or any other videos. As I said, before we look into the farmers themselves, let's talk a bit about layouts in general. The first element about layout is they can help you develop faster. What do I mean by that? Well, let's imagine you've created this layout here. Then you can either click here on copy or just press the shortcut C, select it, and then you can recreate it either on the same island or even on a completely different island. That will obviously enable you to develop your city a lot faster because you don't have to recreate it from scratch. You can just copy it. To be able to copy them easily, I like to make rectangles or square. But that's not all. Integrated layouts enable you to be a lot more efficient. Why? Because you need a lot less warehouses. Here you have potato farms and Schnapps distilleries that are using those potatoes. If I wasn't using any layouts, I may have put a lot of my potato farms in one part of my city and all of my Schnapps distillery in the other part of the city, and therefore I would need to have warehouses on both sides. First a warehouse for the potato to be delivered to the warehouse, and then another warehouse for the potato to go to the Schnapps distillery, then the Schnapps to go to the warehouse. Now with an integrated layout like this one, you can see that the potato that was just produced here is being delivered directly into the Schnapps distillery, not going through the warehouse. It will only be the final products, meaning the Schnapps, that will be then delivered to the warehouse. So you'll need a lot less warehouses and you'll gain space. That's why this is more efficient. To push that thinking even further, you can do something like this, where the sheep farm producing wool here is only connected by this one tile road to the building that's using this wool, the framework knitters here. It will use this wool and then produce the work clothes, and then the work clothes will be delivered to the warehouse. And with layouts like this, you don't need the sheep farm to be connected to the whole city, and therefore you'll probably use less roads, tiles, and therefore you're more efficient. That can also help you make layouts that may be prettier or more organic in some situation, but there is one big problem with this. I have now clicked on the fire station, and you can see that because the sheep farm is not connected to any of the road of a city, it will basically never be connected to a fire station, to a hospital, or a police station. So you have higher risk of this burning out or having a riot than everywhere else in your city. For some players, that's not really a problem. They just say, okay, that's fine, I'll just rebuild it. And therefore now in all of my favorite layouts that I've created for the farmer tiers, we won't use this, and we'll make sure that every building is actually connected to the main road. So if we look at our farmers, they need of course a market, but in terms of resources, they need fish, work clothes, and for their happiness, they also need Schnapps. So we're gonna look at these three, starting with the fish. And for the fish, there's not a perfect really layout because it's really depend on how your coast looks like. Typically, you will do something like this, where you put a few of your fisheries next to each other. You may cover them with a trade union and an harbor master office. This is one of the few production where you can have both and therefore have huge bonuses if you want. But there is actually a completely different layout that I wanted to show you. It is a layout like this. Your fisheries actually don't have to be on the shore. They can be directly in the sea. They just need to be connected by a road to your city and to a warehouse. The way to see that is when you click on any of those fisheries, you can see in green how far they can deliver. So they can definitely deliver to that warehouse. This one can actually even deliver to my main warehouse here in the small trading post. But this one, for example, towards the end is actually too far from this trading post here. It's just enough here, but wouldn't be able to deliver over there, for example. This was noting that, of course, this is impacted by your roads. If you move from your dirt roads to the paved streets, this will increase We can check that. I have now put paved roads here. I can now deliver to this warehouse and further over here. You can usually put a lot more fisheries than in a layout like this. What is worth noting though is that in a layout like this, you will usually only be able to use a harbor master's office. It will usually be too far for a trade union because you will put the trade union here. Maybe a few here will be covered, but not more. This is for the fish. Don't hesitate to share in the comments below any other layouts that you love for fish. Again, because of the fact that it needs to be in your shore or in the sea, it's not like there is a perfect, really beautiful layout. But now let's move to the work clauses. Basic layout that I like for work clauses is this one. You can see 4 work clauses, which is linked to 4 sheep farms with 1 warehouse in the middle, which you can improve, of course, when you start to have delays, as well as enough space for 1 fire station. If you can see that this fire station actually covers everything. It doesn't cover this street here, but it's fine because it does cover those buildings through that street. And of course, these 2 through this street here. So it's totally fine that this is not covered. There's nothing that can burn here. And one element that you also need to remember is that we want it to be integrated. So we want the raw production to be as close as possible to the industry needing it. For example, it will be bad to put this main building here because then that building will need to walk all the way across here to deliver, versus here it will just move 1 tile. As you can see, this one now only needs 1 tile to deliver to the production, and this one also needs only 1 tile to deliver to the warehouse. So no time lost at all. Moving to the Schnapps production, it takes a bit more space because you do need the field for all of your potato farms, but again, a nice rectangle with 4 buildings of each. 4 potato farms, that leads to 4 Schnapps distillery because they both need 30 seconds to produce. And again, very close to each other so they can deliver in 1 tile, with the warehouse in the middle, which you can improve when needed, and the fire station to cover them all. Also the fire station as close as possible to make sure that when there's an explosion, you can stop the fire as quickly as possible. It is worth noting though that for Schnapps or for farms in general, sometimes it is better to not use a pure rectangle like this, but to actually take advantage of corners of the map. Because the modules of the farm are 1 by 1 tiles, which are perfect to use all of the corners of the map, like here you can see. And then you can still do very integrated production like this, where you will put all of the farms on the side of what you're trying to cover, and then in the middle, put your warehouses and production buildings. And as close as possible, right? It is 1 tile to deliver here, 1 tile to deliver to the warehouse. So this is in a sense a layout, but not a layout that is easy to copy, but can be pretty powerful to take advantage again of those corners that are a bit strange shaped. And lastly, for farmers, I wanted to show you my favorite layout that I created that you can see here, but because it combines both production that we need, meaning Schnapps and work clauses, with a 1-to-1 ratio. And the reason why this works quite well is because for farmers, the consumption of work clause and Schnapps is actually very similar. So if you look at the total consumption of your city by doing Ctrl-Q, you will see that the consumption need for work clauses and Schnapps is often very similar. It's not exactly the same, but very similar. So having this layout is quite powerful because every time you need more work clauses, you know that you're also going to need more Schnapps. You just once again copy this whole layout every time you need it. You see that I've also used a bit the trick of this 1 tile road, but I won't get any problems with fire and things like this. Because if we click here, you can see that all of the buildings are covered. The work clause is covered by this road here, while the other buildings are covered by this internal road. What do you think about this layout? Have you seen it before? Do you like it? If you like this video, don't hesitate to press the like button to tell me in the comments if you want to see more, as I'm planning to show you very quickly similar layouts for all the other tiers of population and also for other productions like your building materials like timber, your weapons and things like this. So stay tuned for that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope to see you next time.